Ndugu yangu mambo vipi?
Salama bwana.
Ndugu yangu naona unang'aa. Naona unang'aa ndugu yangu. Mambo mazuri bado.
Honorable Magembe.
Climate nzuri hapa.
Hello Honorable, how are you?
Habari zako?
Honorable Magembe, how are you, my brother?
Zuri too. Honorable Mhira, how are you, sir?
Are you okay?
I'm good. Yourself? How are things?
Sarongo. Wasasonja.
Mambo?
Mambo sawa.
Mambo yanaenda?
Anaendelea vizuri.
Sawa.
Mambo iko fresh.
Kilion.
Honorable Magembe.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
Very good. Good afternoon, Bujumbura.
Hello.
Juba or Nairobi?
I'm fine. I'm in Nairobi. But I can see Juba is also doing well. I have seen them. They were talking in Arabic down there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mama moja na watu.
The contribution made by members.
Mzee wangu mzee Mnyaa, Habib Mohamed Mnyaa. Mzee wangu, mambo
Na Mheshimiwa Dr. Ngwaru.
Assalamu alaikum Sheikh.
My learned friend Dr. Ngwaru.
Mambo vipi mzee wangu? Naona bwana kukaa nyumbani na kupendeza mzee wangu, unazidi kuwa kijana. Mambo yanaenda vizuri.
Mheshimiwa Mnyaa.
Yes, how are you?
Very fine. How is
This is
Zanzibar?
how Zanzibar is.
Are you in Zanzibar?
Beautiful, I'm telling you.
VP.
Beautiful, everything is beautiful here.
Okay, great.
You are welcome.
Bite.
Thank you. We are doing well as well. Honorable Makame.
Sabia.
He's hiding himself. Honorable Makame. Gambo.
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
Kabisa. Na kibazo.
Safi. Asante sana. Pamoja kabisa. Tumezeneza cyane.
Sana.
Karibu.
Yeah. Honorable Gatman.
Honorable Makame.
Gatman.
How are you?
You got it.
I got it. It remained a cake. And the cake is down there. Yeah, I got it. I got the fun man, but the cake is still down there.
My brother has been visiting the court in recent days. Honorable Magembe is in his court attire.
I have seen him already. How is Engineer Honorable Mnyaa?
Yeah, they were soon.
I can't see
I'm
you.
okay, I'm fine.
How are you doing?
I'm around.
Very good.
I'm fine. Have you not seen me there?
I'm told nowadays
Have you seen me now?
more younger. Things are good.
I'm standing up now. You see me now?
Yes, I can see you.
Sebastian Lomoyan.
You can see me now?
Sebastian Lemoyano.
I can see a young gentleman.
Habari zenu waheshimiwa.
Vizuri sana.
Oh.
Habari ya mwalimu?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, safi.
Can you see me?
You can be seen.
Yes, but
Wait.
not clear picture.
You have to respond. I don't know. I'm not sure if you see me.
Yes, mama mkwe.
Yes.
Nakuona mama mkwe.
We have seen you, mwalimu.
And mama mkwe, there's something which is very near. We have to talk privately. We have to talk in box, mama mkwe.
Mheshimiwa Josephine, shikamoo.
No, this is better.
Shikamo mwalimu.
Hello.
Shikamo.
Marhaba. At least I can hear you now.
Oh yes.
Mheshimiwa shangazi, shikamoo.
Marhaba mheshimiwa shangaa. Ujambo?
Sijambo.
At least this one is better. The other network was not good.
You smile. It's better.
Hi, Wi-Fi. How are you, my
Hi
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi. How are you?
Honorable
I want to
Josephine.
come. I want to come to Juba.
Hi.
Hi.
I can see
Hi
you.
everybody.
Hi. You're okay, Honorable Josephine. Mwalimu.
I see a lot of Burundi vehicles in Tanzania. Everything
sure.
is fine, I think.
Mheshimiwa Mariamusi,
Mheshimiwa Kamishna.
mambo vipi?
Poa poa. Unatoka mahakamani, mbona kama uko na Nairobi ya mahakama?
Ndugu yangu bwana, hali jinsi ilivyo, hatuna jinsi, tunaendelea hivyo hivyo.
Sasa tulokuwa tujaingia kwenye role of advocate tutafanyaje sasa? Inabidi nirudi law school nikasapue.
Tunabidi kupambana. Unaendeleaje?
Niko poa kabisa.
Mheshimiwa Magembe. I hope you are not in your room. In your bedroom.
No. I'm in my office.
That's the dining room, right?
I'm in my office.
Yuko kwenye advocate attire, inabidi tumuogope kidogo.
Chris ananichokoza tu, hamna kitu kingine.
Hapana. Tunaangalia
Prayer.
Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society, good of all human rights upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this region and of those whose interests you have committed to us. Amen.
We proceed to item number 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Good afternoon, honorable members. I think the communications I have, I will make through administrative communications, letters, and now we can proceed.
We proceed to item 3 on the order paper, laying of papers.
Chairperson, Committee on General Purpose.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay on the table the report of the Committee on General Purpose on the approval of a vote on account for the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021. I beg to lay.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable members, I wish to remind you that the chairperson of council had already moved the motion, and the vote on account was referred to the Committee on General Purpose for scrutiny. I now call the chairperson, General Purpose Committee, to present the report.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, we have the report of the Committee on General Purpose on the approval of the vote on account for the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021. 1.0 Introduction. The East African Legislative Assembly is one of the organs of the East African Community established under Article 9 of the Treaty for the establishment of the East African Community. The treaty bestows upon the Assembly 3 cardinal functions: legislation, oversight, and representation. In the exercise of its legislative and oversight function, the Assembly, among others, scrutinizes, debates, and passes the budget of the community. The Assembly largely exercises its legislative and oversight functions through its committees. In particular, the Committee on General Purpose is charged with, among others, the scrutiny of the ESC budget estimates before the report is presented to the House for consideration. Articles 49(2)(b) and 132(2) and 5 of the Treaty for the establishment of the East African Community enjoins the Assembly to debate and approve the budget of the East African Community. The Council of Ministers is enjoined by Articles 14(2), 14(e), and 132(2) and 5 of the Treaty to prepare and submit the same budget to the Assembly for approval. These functions are further amplified in the East African Community Budget Act 2008. Section 6 of the Budget Act provides that the Assembly may approve a vote on account every financial year to enable normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the new financial year before the approval of the budget. 2.0 Background. On the 30th of June 2020, the Assembly considered and decided to approve the request for vote on account by the Council amounting to US dollars 29,402,292.
Procedure.
At its sitting held on 12 August 2020, the chairperson Council of Ministers.
Who is raising the point of procedure?
Honorable Christopher, Mr. Speaker.
Okay,
I just want to ask the Office of Clerk to put the paper on the screen so that we can read, because some of our emails are not working. So.
Okay, the IT people will be doing that as the chair proceeds to read the report.
Okay, thank you.
At its sitting held on 12 August 2020, the chairperson Council of Ministers made a second request the Assembly to approve a vote on account amounting to US dollars 32,556,569 to enable the normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021. The breakdown of the amount requested for is contained in the letter of the Secretary General, the Right Honorable Speaker, dated 6 August 2020, as indicated below. So we have a table below. It contains the budget of the financial year 2020, and then the request for vote on account for the same year for the first quarter. We have ESC Secretariat, money amounting to $17 million. This is the money for the whole budget that was requested, which was laid on table. ESC Secretariat, contributions from partner states, $17 million, 466, 259, 257. Other revenues, $462,000, 770. Then development partners, $32 million, 635,373, totaling to the entire budget of ESC, of ESC Secretariat, being $48 million, 564,400. On this amount of money, they're requesting a vote on account for this they requested a vote on account of this financial year as follows. From partner states contribution, $5 million, 822,086. Other revenues, 154,257. Development partners, $10 million, 211,791. Totaling to a total request on a vote on account for the Secretariat of $16 million, 188,133. East African Court of Justice, partner states, this is the financial year, the budget for the financial year is contribution for partner states, $3 million, 970,406. Other revenues, 0. Development partners, 0. The total being $3 million, 970,406. They requested for a vote on account for as follows: $1 million, 469 being contribution for partner states. Other revenues, 0, and development partners, 0. So their total request for vote on account is $1 million, 323,469. Then we go to East African Legislative Assembly. The total budget for this financial year is $16 million, 755,725. Development partners, 0. Other contributions, 0. Totaling to the same $16 million, 755,725. East African Legislative Assembly is requesting for vote on account of $5 million, 585,242. And money coming from, all this money is coming from partner states. We don't have any money coming from either development partners or other revenues. So the total is the same. Lake Victoria Benson Commission, the money for this financial year, total budget, $2 million, 789,103. Development, other revenues, 0. Development partners is $5 million, 590,954, totaling to $8 million, 380,057. They are requesting for a vote on account of $929,701 US dollars, being contributions from partner states, 0 from other revenues, and then $1 million, 863,651 from development partners. The total request for vote on account for the Victoria Benson Commission is $2 million, 793,352. East African Science and Technology Commission, their total budget for this financial year is $1 million, 526,751. Money from other revenues is $10,000. There is no money from development partners, and their total is $1 million, 536,751 US dollars. They are requesting for a vote on account of $508,000 US dollars, 917 coming from development partners, and then $3,000, 333 from other revenues. Their total request for vote on account is $512,250. That is for the East African Science and Technology Commission. East African Swahili Commission, their total budget that they want for this financial year is $1 million, 389,318. Other revenue, this is coming from partner states contributions, $10,000 from other revenues, and the total 0 from development partners, and the total budget requested is $1 million, 399,318. Of this, you are requesting for a vote on account of 466,439,000 coming from these breakdowns: 462,000 US dollars, 106 coming from partner states contributions, and then 3,333 coming from other revenues, and 0 from development partners. East African Heritage Research Commission, their total budget for this financial year requested is $1,879,600, and out of this $1,870,520 is coming from partner states contributions, other revenues $9,080, and from development partners 0. They are requesting for a vote on account of $626,533 US dollars. Out of this money, $623,507 is coming from partner states contributions, and $3,027 US dollars coming from other revenues, and 0 from development partners. East African Competition Authority, their total budget for this financial year requested is $1 million, $128,240. Out of this money, they want money coming from partner states contribution is $1 million, $128,240, 0 from other revenues, and 0 from development partners. They are requesting out of this money for vote on account of $376,080 US dollars, and all that money is coming from contributions from partner states. We have no money from revenues, other revenues, and 0 from development partners. The Inter-University Council of East Africa is requesting for $4,612,468. Out of that money, $3,969,898 is coming from partner states contributions, other revenues. I beg your pardon, honorable members. The Inter-University Council of, have I jumped or I'm still on the same?
Yeah, you're okay.
In the University
Okay.
Council of East Africa,
University
I beg your
Council.
pardon, honorable members. Their total request is $10,977,276 US dollars for this financial year. Out of this money, $3,969,898 is coming from partner states contributions, other revenues $2,394,910, and from development partners is $4,612,468. Out of this money, the Inter-University Council of East Africa is requesting for a vote on account of $3,659,092. Out of this money, $1,323,292 is coming from contributions of partner states, and then other revenues $798,303, and then development partners $1,537,489 US dollars. Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization, their total budget for this year is $3,077,000 US dollars, 934. Out of this money, the partner states contribution is $1 million, 945,938, 0 from other revenues, and $1 million, 131,996 from development partners. Out of this money, they are requesting for a vote on account of $1 million, 25,978 US dollars. And out of this, 648,646 is coming from partner states contribution, 0 from other revenues, and then 377,332 from development partners. So the total money, the total budget for this financial year requested is $97,669,707. And out of this, the council requested for a vote on account of $32,556,569. The Right Honourable Speaker, referred the above request to the Committee on General Purpose for scrutiny. The committee considered the matter and hereby presents its report to the House for consideration. 3.0 methodology. During the consideration of the request for approval of vote on account, the committee held a virtual meeting with the Chairperson, Council of Ministers, the Secretary General, the Acting Deputy Secretary General, Financial Administration, the Council of the Community, and the heads of ESC organs and institutions. 2, it reviewed the request for a vote on account alongside A, the treaty, B, the ESC Budget Act 208, C, the ESC Financial Rules and Regulations, D, the pre-budget conference report, E, the ESC budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021, F, the annual operation plan, G, the ESC MTF, H, the report of the 41st Extraordinary Council meeting. And 3, it prepared the report on this subject matter. 4.0, findings and observation. The committee made the following findings and observations. 1, or Roman 1, the East African Community Budget Act 208 sets timelines for the preparation, consideration, and approval of the EAC budget as indicated below. A, under Section 3 of the Budget Act, the Secretary General is by 15th of October of each financial year required to prepare the budget of the community and submit it to the Council for consideration. B, Section 4 of the Budget Act requires the Chairperson of the Council of Ministers to present the EAC budget to the Assembly by the 30th day of April. C, under the same Act, the Assembly is required to pass the EAC budget estimates not later than 30th June. 2, the Secretary General and the Council of Ministers failed to comply with the above legal requirement. The Chairperson of the Council of the Ministers presented the budget to the Assembly on the 13th of August 2020. 3, the failure by the Secretary General and the Council of Ministers to adhere to the above timelines has had serious implications on the effective functioning of the organs and institutions of the community. 4, Section 6 of the Budget Act provides that the Assembly may approve a vote on account every financial year to enable normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the financial year before the approval of the budget. The vote on account shall not exceed 1/3 of the total budget of the community or any of its institutions. Roman 5, the procedure for the presentation, consideration, debate, and approval of the budget is provided for under Section 4 of the Budget Act and Rules 74, 75, 76, 77, and 78 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly. Precisely, Section 4.2 of the Budget Act enjoins the Speaker to refer the budget to the Committee on General Purpose for scrutiny. The vote on account is part of the budget. Under Section 4.3 of the same Act, the Committee on General Purpose is required to scrutinize the budget and report back to the House. Rule 78.1c of the Rules of Procedure provides that the consideration of the vote on account may not exceed 1 day. However, this must be done upon the House receiving the report of the Committee on General Purpose. 6, the procedure indicated in 5 above is mandatory, where the provisions of Rules 74, 75, 76, 77, and 78 of the other Rules of Procedure are subordinate to the requirements of Section 4 of the Budget Act. The Assembly or the Council of Ministers or any other organs or institution of the EAC should not attempt to circumvent this process. 7, where the committee appreciates the need to approve the request of vote on account, the Assembly should not be stampeded in the course of a discharge of its mandate. Budget scrutiny and approval is one key activities in the legislative calendar of the Assembly, which offers an opportunity to the EAC citizens through their representatives to demand accountability and ensure that the budget reflects the development priorities of the community. 8, available evidence indicates that in jurisdictions where vote on account has been approved, funding is restricted to recurrent expenditure to cater for statutory obligations such as salaries, medical care, utilities, stationery, and consumables, among others. Therefore, during the scrutiny of this request, the committee was inclined to prioritize budget lines that catered for such critical and very urgent expenditures. It was noted that since the Assembly was scheduled to consider the main budget immediately after the approval of the vote on account, the other expenditures would be considered during the scrutiny of the main budget. 9, the request for vote on account, which was presented to the House on the 12th of August 2020, only had abstract figures, which is in total contravention of activity-based budgeting model that the EAC adopted. On the 14th of August 2020, the committee directed Deputy Secretary General and the heads of organs and institutions to furnish it with a specific budget lines for salaries, utilities, service providers, statutory meetings, stationery, and consumables. But this information was not available by 17th August 2020, which necessitated the Assembly to defer the approval of vote on account on this date. In the absence of such information, the committee could not diligently scrutinize the request in the 2 days that the Assembly had earlier granted it. 10, the committee registered its displeasure on how the operations were done, failure to get the important information from the different stakeholders in the community, and withholding or refusing to avail the requested information during the consideration of vote on account. Such unprofessional conduct is unacceptable. However, the committee commends all the other heads of organs and institutions for their cooperation and positive response during this exercise. 11, according to the request for vote on account, Funding from development partners amounts to US dollars 13,990,264. During the consideration of the 2019-2020 budget, the Assembly raised serious concerns about the implementation of donor-funded projects. It would be erroneous for the Assembly to approve the utilization of the entire budget from the development partners before the House satisfies itself that the concerns raised last financial year were addressed. However, the committee noted that some of the critical programs under the Inter-University Council of East Africa and the Departments of Health, Peace and Security have a development partners funding component. Therefore, it is prudent that the development fund component of these specific departments and institutions be availed. 12. A review of the MTF and the annual operation plan indicates that some of the planned activities for the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021 cannot be implemented because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Examples include the Secretary General's physical participation in the UN and African Union meetings and the plenary meetings outside Arusha. It was further noted that most of these planned meetings that require physical participation of partner states cannot be implemented in the first quarter of the financial year until travel restrictions are eased in the entire community. 13. The committee also noted that most of the development projects go through lengthy procurement processes, which was further worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, the implementation of these projects, most of which are donor-funded, cannot commence in the first quarter of this financial year. It is therefore reasonable that the budget for such projects be considered during the scrutiny of the main budget.
Order, please.
14.
On our orders, on our order, you are obstructing the proceedings.
Honorable members, can you please try to mute your microphones? Just to be sure you have muted. Cross-check with your gadget and make sure you have muted. Honorable Namara.
Mr.
Yes?
Speaker, point of order. There's also a dog behind in the background. I don't know whether those people who are sitting.
So, honorable members, you know you remember our rules for these meetings. The rules for virtual meetings, I insist that you read them again. I think they covered all those details of where we need to be and the background we need and everything. That is one. Two, these proceedings are live streamed. Because at times you may forget that the whole world is watching you. So they are live streamed. So it's very important to be mindful of the environment where you are sitting. And please, may I remind you that there are rules that govern these proceedings. We don't need to get to a point where we rule out any member as being out of precincts. We don't need to get to that point. So maybe Honorable Jematia has seen one case that I don't want to know, but I see several other cases that could be debatable. So please let us always check where we are sitting. Honorable Chair, if you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. 14, during the extraordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers held on the 4th August 2020, the Council expressed displeasure over the accumulated bill of EYALA, which arose from the activities carried out between the months of March to June 2020. As a result, the Council directed the Assembly not to undertake any activities before securing the requisite fund. According to Article 14.3c of the Treaty, in the exercise of its functions, the Council cannot give directions to, among others, the Assembly. The Committee considers this as an attempt by some technocrats at the Secretariat to undermine the Assembly under the guise of the Council. Interestingly, it's the same Secretariat and Council that pressured the Assembly to convene and pass the vote on account before securing funds for this activity. The Assembly shall never abide by such kind of directives. 15. A bill of outstanding obligations arising out of the implementation of the EYALA calendar of activities during the period between the month of March to June 2020 stands at US dollars $2,529,055. According to Regulation 1092 of the ESC Financial Rules and Regulations, if this obligation is not cleared before 30th September 2020, the members and staff of the Assembly shall pay these areas, which arose out of the sacrifice they made during the execution of this work. However, during the interaction with the committee, the Chair, Council, and Secretary General made a commitment to settle the areas before 30th of September 2020. 16. The committee noted that there is not a budget line to facilitate the Assembly during the consideration and approval of the vote on account and the ESC budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. Since the committee cannot operate without a budget, the committee finds it prudent the total amount of US dollars 1,003,360 that was earmarked to facilitate the Assembly to convene plenary sessions and committee meetings in the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021 under activity code M5S15T0101D01 EYALA be used specifically fund all EYALA activities related to the consideration of the ESC budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. However, during the scrutiny of the budget, the committee shall ensure that appropriate rationalization is done across the entire ESC budget to secure funds for the earlier planned EYALA plenary activity. 6.0 recommendations. The committee would like to make the following recommendations. 1. The Assembly should never allow any individual or organ/stroke institution of the ESC to stampede the August House in the course of discharging its mandate. 2. In light of Article 14.3c of the treaty, the Assembly shall always stand firm and ensure that its planned activities as per the annual calendar and the approved ESC annual calendar and the approved ESC budget are implemented in the course of each financial year, liquidity challenges notwithstanding. 3. The Assembly to urge the Council to desist from being misadvised by some self-seeking technocrats in the various organs and institutions of the community in regards to the operations of the community. The Assembly shall always endeavor to promote and strengthen cordial working relations with the Council and other organs and institutions, but not at the expense of its mandate. 4. The Assembly to register its displeasure over the non-cooperation of the members of Secretariat during the consideration of vote on account. In the future, officers who exhibit such unprofessional conduct should be held individually culpable for frustrating the integration agenda. 5. The Assembly puts on hold the approval of the component of donor-funded projects as part of vote on account until the scrutiny and approval of the main budget, save for US dollars 1,483,690 donor component that is earmarked for
Yes, who is interjecting?
Honorable Speaker, I'm wondering if you have the same report with the chair, because the report we have some details that he is skipping to read.
Yes.
So is he having the same report with us, or
Specifically the names?
He has skipped twice.
Yes.
This is the second time.
Chair.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker, I was trying to summarize in the interest of time, because you said as per the rules of procedure that the provision.
Okay, Honorable Namara, the idea of summarizing is very important. That is one. 2, you said in your report that this is part of the main report that you are considering. So I expect every aspect of it to be condensed, because there is going to be time. There is going to be time to address the main report, the main budget. So, Honorable Member, may I urge you that any detail that you think is not addressed fully be taken into that spirit. There is going to be time to address the main report and to debate further. So, I think we should support the idea that we need to have this in a short form. And
thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, thank you.
Number 5. Number 6, actually finished number 5. Number 6, a total amount of $1 million. 003,
Mr. Speaker, sir.
360 that was earmarked to facilitate the Assembly to convene plenary sessions.
A point of
Yes,
procedure.
but now I wish you had waited until he finishes reading his report. Honorable Dr. Oburu.
No, Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to ask if the chair is summarizing, then he should summarize.
everything?
But when it comes to naming names, those are the only things which is summarizing. So we really wonder whether he is really summarizing or he is protecting some.
Selective summary.
Yes, because it is a very selective summary.
although I
Number
think
6.
yes, a summary is a summary, Dr. Oburu. And by the way, maybe even the mentioning of names should be done in exceptional compelling circumstances, especially when it is about people who are not going to ask me to give them time to talk also, because this is exclusively for us. So because I didn't have the advantage of seeing the report uphand, my ability to rule fairly may be impaired. But may I request that we seriously request that we respect the wisdom of the chair as he is proceeding. And if there is going to be any issues that we need to address in the future, we'll address them. Honorable Jamatia, you have never declined my request. This is going to be the first time.
Exactly.
Don't.
Because exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
You shouldn't do. Thank you so much. So, Honorable Namara, please. And
Thank you,
Dr.
Honorable
Oburu has
Speaker.
also taken my advice.
Number 6, a total amount of US dollars 1,003,360 that was earmarked to facilitate the assembly, convene plenary sessions and committee meetings. I had already passed this. Number 7, urge the Secretary General and the Council of Ministers to always comply with the provisions of the treaty and the EAC Budget Act in regards to the preparation and presentation of the budget to the Assembly. 8, the Assembly approves the request for vote on account as indicated in the table below. So below there's a table for vote on account. We have the vote and then the organization or the organ or institution. 001, East African Community Secretariat, the committee proposes or puts before the Assembly to approve US dollars 9,095,178.88 US dollars being money for vote on account for the first quarter of this financial year to be allocated as vote on account for the East African Community Secretariat. 002, East African Legislative Assembly, the committee recommends the Assembly the amount of money $5,295,062 being money to facilitate the East African Legislative Assembly for the first quarter as a vote on account. 003, East African Court of Justice, the committee recommends the Assembly an amount of money $575,063 for the East African Court of Justice for the first quarter as a vote on account. 004, the committee recommends the Assembly an amount of money of $941,717 being money for vote on account for the Lake Victoria Basin Commission for the first quarter of this financial year. 005, the committee recommends to Assembly to approve $512,037 US dollars being an amount of money for vote on account for the East African Science and Technology Commission. Vote 006, the Assembly recommends the committee recommends the Assembly to approve the amount of money of $305,000 US dollars, 482 US dollars to facilitate the activities of the East African Kiswahili Commission as vote on account for the first quarter of this financial year. 007, the committee recommends the Assembly to approve an amount of money of $362,333 being money to facilitate the East African Health Research Commission as the money for vote on account of the first quarter of this financial year. Vote 008, the committee recommends the Assembly to approve an amount of money of $352,576 US dollars being money for the East African Competition Authority as vote on account for the first quarter of this financial year. Vote 009, the committee recommends the Assembly to approve an amount of money of $1,897,257 to facilitate activities of the Inter-University Council of East Africa as money for vote on account for the first quarter of this financial year. Vote 010, that's vote 010. The committee recommends the Assembly an amount of money of $305,000 US dollars, 482 being money to facilitate the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization for its activities as vote on account for the first quarter of this financial year. The total being $19,697,574.88 US dollars. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to report.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm mindful of the fact that this made an report as committee chair. So let me congratulate you beforehand. So, honorable members, the motion before the House is for a resolution of the Assembly to constitute itself into a committee of supply to consider a vote on account for the financial year 2020-2021. Debate is open. Honorable Akol, Honorable Dr. Makame, and again in the same spirit, knowing that this is part of the budget that we are going to discuss in the coming days. So Honorable Rose and the Honorable Dr. Makame.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the General Purpose Committee for the precise report and the manner in which they have presented their report. Right Honorable Speaker, I just have a few remarks to make. This is vote on account. There's nothing much to debate. One, that for the budget, presentation of the budget, and this also applies to the manner in which this budget is presented to us by Secretariat. The budget should always have the recurrent expenditure side and then the development expenditure side. I think I've said this several times, but I don't think it's being implemented. Yes. And I think I need to understand, I don't know whether anyone can really tell us why this position, which is the right position, I've always tried to express, is not being followed by Secretariat. Why are they not presenting this budget in that manner? Every budget, I've not seen any yet, I'm seeing it here in ESC, that they present a budget without differentiating between recurrent and development. That is how budgets are presented. You see, it's very important. I really want to request that we try to follow the normal budgeting norms and procedures when we are doing our work also as ESC. Right, Honorable Speaker, nothing much. I believe that is all I had to say. And I concur with the General Purpose Committee with the recommendations they have made in their report. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Rose. I hope the Council Chair, who has been the Minister of Finance and done the budget himself, takes note of that. Honorable Dr. Makame.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this vote on account is coming in September. We were expecting it much earlier, actually during the last quarter of the last financial year. It is long overdue, and it was not caused as a delay from us or the Secretariat, but we should just note that.
Mr. Speaker, there's a stranger in the house.
No, he's one of our technical people. And we made them officers for this purpose. But the photographer is favoring him somehow. But he's one of our IT people in the room. He's one of the rooms. Thank you. I was also asking who is he, but it's been explained. Thank you, Dr. Makame, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Speaker, with regard to the vote on account, the objectives as stated by the member of the council, that it is intended to fund for the community for this period which we have no budget. So I wish to register my support to the report of the General Purpose and the intention to have this vote on account today. And I pledge my support to the vote on account so that we now move forward, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Procedure, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Engineer Mnya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to invoke Rule 36.
34.
36. And because that the vote of account is well, very articulated and understood, and because it has been taken quite a long time before, I would like now to invoke Rule 36 in order that we limit the time in the debate and we can finalize this as quick as possible. I thank you.
Did you cite rule what? Rule 36?
Rule 36.
Can you read it? Can you read it?
Limitation of debate. The House may, on any motion made by a member, order and impose a limit to the motion on the contribution made by members on that particular motion by allotting a limit period for a time for the motion of the contribution made by members on the motion, or by imposing the time limitation to both motion and contribution by the members.
Do I take it you have moved, Seconder? Dr. Makame. So the motion by Honorable Munya, seconded by Dr. Makame, is that we limit debate and we put questions. Those in favor, raise your hand. Those against, raise your hand. Those in favor have it.
Procedure,
Honorable Speaker, how do you know and you have not counted?
Procedure, Honorable Speaker.
What is the hurry?
Procedure.
Yes, Honorable Kim Gai.
Honorable Speaker, I raise the point of procedure because Honorable Munya raised a motion on limitation of debate. For how long? Because we should know when we are limited debate, we should indicate it whether
Yes,
1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 30 minutes. It should be
Yes,
part of the motion.
I stand to be corrected. The way we interpret this rule, does it have to end instantly or we extend for
But
a
how
limited
can he
time?
end the debate before it starts?
cutting the debate.
Excuse me, is it what kind of extension is spoken about here? We extend for how long, or is it instant?
We limit, Mr. Speaker. We limit.
We are
We
limited,
limit.
whatever Speaker, we limit debate. So we need
Okay.
the time we are going to.
So limiting means
We
it can
limit,
go on,
we
but for a
limit,
limited
we
time,
don't
right?
extend, we limit.
Limiting doesn't mean stopping, right? Yes.
Is it for
limited
5
some
minutes
time, right?
each person speaking?
Okay. It means it can proceed for some time, but not necessarily for longer. Is that the case?
Information.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Now, because
Information.
I am the one who interpreted the rules with the finality, I take it to be that his intention was to limit the debate, but not to stop it, right?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think my proposal will be to limit the committee members from GP from debating this report. That's my proposal, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker.
Engineer, yeah.
It's me who wrote this, who invoked, who like your commission to invoke this 36. And that my idea really is to limit the time and to limit the debate. So long as this issue of the vote of account has been taken for quite a long time, and the way Honorable Chair of the GP, the way he has explained and the way it's put here is very well known and understood. So there was no more, the idea was if the members who are going to contribute should be limited, not to be all members, there are 2, 3, they are enough, or 4, in order to save time. And this issue has been taking quite a long of time, vote of account. And therefore, we end this debate as soon as possible in order that we can vote for the vote.
Okay, Honorable Engineer, I have understood you, and I will be the one to guide the limitations, the limits. So in the meantime, we can proceed. If there is anyone who wants to speak, Honorable Dr. Uburu, Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, Honorable Musamali. We start with those three.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this debate on the vote on account has taken unnecessarily long, and this is because in the first place, the report has clearly brought out all the issues which actually made the delay. And up to now, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have not had any proper explanation from the Secretary General as to why the laws were floated and the budget was not presented on time to the Council of Ministers in in October last year, and why the budget was not presented to Parliament by 30th of April this year. Mr. Speaker, this is very important for future because it is very strange that the Assembly has been taken for granted, and now when the debate, the vote on account and the whole budget has been presented late, the blame again is going to the Assembly as if it is the Assembly which delayed the presentation of the budget. The Assembly did not have the responsibility at all to prepare the budget and to present the budget to the Council of Ministers and to the Assembly. It was with the Secretariat, and the ball squarely lies on the court of the Secretariat to explain to all the organs of the community why there was this delay. And up to now, Mr. Speaker, I am not satisfied that there is any proper explanation so that this kind of thing does not recur again in future. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, having expressed my concern, I also want to thank the Committee on General Purpose for having worked very hard on this budget and having brought it to us in a very presentable manner. I thank the chair and the whole members of the committee and members of the technical team who worked on this report. Mr. Speaker, I support that the committee goes into the House goes into committee to consider this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Oburu. Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim.
I'm a member of PP and I'm very intimate with the report. And I think it reflects most of the issues you have discussed. But, Honorable Speaker, when you are limiting on the debate, Honorable Speaker, please allow us to debate because we don't want to be told we are spending few hours, few seconds. 5 minutes. Now we are 1 hour into the meeting, so that we are not people who are incapable to debate. So, Honorable Speaker, we don't want to be told you are debating for 5 minutes and they have passed the budget in 30 minutes. So let us take our time and debate and give time to the other members who have not.
Thank you, Honorable Fatuma. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Fatuma. Honorable Musamali.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. From the onset, I want to declare that I'm a member of the General Purpose Committee and I support the report. I want to register my disappointment, first of all, with the Secretariat in a manner where they have lackadaisically handled the whole budget process. This careless and lazy way where how they have handled the budget process to plunge the House into the House and the whole committee into this unnecessary hig-hagger. Right Honorable Speaker, while in the committee with the Secretary General, one of the reasons why this process has dragged on a little longer, it could have taken maybe 2 or 3 days to consider the vote on account, but it has dragged on for a little longer because of the issues of areas of members of IALA and the staff. The Secretary General yesterday, when we were in a meeting, he assured us, and of course, some time back, the Chair Council, they assured us that they are going to address the issue of areas of members by borrowing from Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization and Inter-University Council of East Africa. As we talk right now, Honorable Speaker, as we debate, 4 partner states are the only ones that have written letters of no objection to have that money borrowed. 2 partner states.
Mr. Speaker, procedure.
2 partner states.
Procedure.
Have not yet.
Honorable Dr. Makame. Honorable Makame.
Mr. Speaker, when we are discussing a motion, we are tied by the rules of procedure, and the rules require us to address the specific matter addressed contained in that motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, kindly guide us there, please.
Okay, well, the issues of arrears is a budgetary issue, and we are discussing the budget. So the member is not out of order, but I can inform Honorable Musamari, based on what you just said, that the Secretary General convened a meeting today, specifically in the direction of implementing what he said in front of the committee. So everyone is mobilized to work on that issue. And maybe you may reconsider the details you wanted to address. But what he promised in front of the committee, he has started working on it. And myself and him and the other officials of the community had a meeting for several hours today to specifically address that aspect, and it is going in the right direction. You are not out of order, but that is the information. For once, the Speaker has the information.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, for your wise guidance and ruling, and then 2, for shedding that light. But, Honorable Speaker, why I brought in that matter is that that information has not yet been given to the House, and of course, by raising it, you have been able to probably shed light. But in brief, and to conclude, is that in his commitment yesterday, he said he's going to consult with the Speaker of IALA and with the Council of Ministers on how to move with that matter. So that is the information which I wanted. But the most important is that this House needs assurance that our money, our arrears, is not going to disappear because of the way it is being handled. Because as we talk right now, Speaker, 4 countries have written letters of no objection. 2 countries have not yet. Of course, where I am, Uganda is one of them. And we have here a letter which is not yet signed. Of course, this one, I don't take it to be that it's signed. It is just maybe a promise. So now, until it is signed, that's when I'll be sure that Uganda has signed. And then the Chair Council told us at the beginning that so far 3 countries had signed letters of no objection. And in those countries included the United Republic of Tanzania, the Republic of Rwanda, and the Republic of Kenya. But to our disappointment and surprise, the United Republic of Tanzania has not written the letter. So this means that unless we are given assurance in this sitting, and it goes on record by the Secretary General that this is where the money is going to come, it's not coming from the borrowing, because if the borrowing, assume the borrowing fails, where is that money going to come from? So we need this assurance in this House by the Right Honorable Secretary General, such that we know that, first of all, we are not sitting here having been cajoled. We have not been cajoled. Yesterday, the Right Honorable Secretary General was threatening that if we don't pass this budget, he will go to the summit. That is also, I want this thing to be on record. It is also not proper. We should work very well as an assembly and as a secretariat and all the organs of the community to ensure that our community progresses, but not working with intimidation or in any form of cajoling. In brief and finally, Honorable Speaker, we want the assurance of the Right Honorable Secretary General. If we are unable to borrow to pay our arrears, where is the money coming from and how are you going to pay it? Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and once again, I support the report.
Thank you. Honorable Kim Guy, Honorable Aden, Honorable Wanjiku.
And me.
Yes, I mentioned it.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And also, let me declare that I am member of this committee. I thank my able leader, Honorable Dennis Namara. Honorable Speaker, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I go through recommendation in page 6. Because this house is out of record, Roman 10, in page 6. This Roman 6, seen my chair lay a report to the House and table to the House. I will beg my honorable chair to remove and to remove this Roman 10 and what is justified for us before the House to replace it as it is convenient to the members, because it is out of record. We cannot, because when we are going to pass the report, we should replace it with what Honorable Chair said. Instead, this one to be in part of the report. And however, in also this observation, also in a recommendation in page 8, also in 4, also should be deleted and replaced with what Honorable Chair are being said. So the record should be very clear in that matter, Honorable Speaker. And also through your guidance, you can guide the House. I beg to submit and support the report.
All right, thank you. The chair takes a note of that. Honorable Aden.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the committee's decision to pass this vote on account. However, I wish to go on record for on procedural issues on this particular request, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we as a House are granted the opportunity to pass request on budget by the treaty and by our own procedures and the financial rules and regulations. It's the first time we're ever passing a vote on account. I'm just going to address this issue from the view of a budget making process. In a budget making process, Honorable Speaker, you've got revenue and expenditure. We're talking on vote on account for Q1. We have got like about 3 weeks plus to go for this particular quarter. In the best of my knowledge and up to now, unless otherwise advised, no revenue with regards to the year 2020-2021 has been received, particularly from partner states' expenditure. So why are we passing a vote on account? To spend against what revenue? This is a question I really want answered. Because unless you tell me there is this revenue and therefore we are presenting this request on vote on account for expenditure, then from a budget making point of view, I struggle then to understand what this request is all about. Honorable Speaker, that is one. Secondly, I agree with the committee.
I can try to clarify that because I'm the one who scheduled this. Two things. First of all, partner states do not remit until we write to them attaching the budget we have already passed. Ordinarily, the Secretary General must write and show this is the budget we have passed and annex it to the request for the first remittance to come in. Secondly, some partner states, some of them have started sending in their remittances. And there are some immediate needs obligations like salaries that have to be paid. So unless I got the question wrong, but that is the situation. Most partner states would hold until they have proof there is budget first in Arusha. Maybe the Secretary General will address that later if I'm wrong. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was just addressing this issue from the point of view on what is the procedure for requesting for a vote on account. And ordinarily, there will be revenue available. Then you ask for a vote on account to spend pending the completion of the process of budget making. So that's. I just wanted us to get that clear. And therefore, I just want to say that as at now, this House is not informed of, based on this report, any revenue that has been earned against which an expenditure on vote on account is being requested. We've got to be very procedural on how we do things. We've got the main budget in front of us, and which the committee is considering, which they will bring a report to the House with regards to how that expenditure is supposed to be spent. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I want to set the record clear, because this is an open forum. The media is here with us. I have seen a lot of distorted information from our colleagues in the third of the fourth estate, the media, saying that, there is this and that, and trying to narrow down the whole issue of the debate on this particular issue to the request on that Honorable Musomare has rightfully addressed now, which is an issue that cannot be ignored, which is an issue which actually, contrary to the misinformation that Honorable Dr. Makame is trying to misinform this House, I thought he's a member of this committee. The committee on page 7 in this report has addressed that issue. So I don't know why he was trying to control Honorable Musomare not to raise on this issue when you are a member of the committee that has put that first number 12, issue number 12 on this page 7 on that particular issue which Honorable Musomare has addressed. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, my reservation to this, even as I support it, is that one, procedurally, there is something substantially wrong, because this is a House of record, and I will want to go into record, that this House takes caution on,
Procedure, Mr. Speaker.
even as we pass this particular issue. I'll beg that you protect me from the unnecessary disruption from my colleague, Mr. Speaker, as I want to conclude on my point. Mr. Speaker,
okay, please.
Budgetary point of view.
Honorable Aden, just let me listen to you. Dr. Makame, what is it?
Mr. Speaker, I've been named in person. My name has been named there. And I'd like to put my record straight, because as a member, I deserve to put my record straight on this matter. And being a member of the committee, Mr. Speaker, I thought that issues which we are talking about here, much as this matter is an issue of budget, when we are talking a budget, we are talking about two budgets, budget for last year and budget for this year. Budget, when we're talking about arrears arising from last year's financial budget, and that's where we are doing the borrowing. And when we're talking about this year, the arrears arising from 1st of July are covered in this vote on account. So I don't see the reason why Mr. Honorable Abdul Kadir Aden should attack me personally in front of the House and I remain quiet. I can never tolerate that, and I will beg him to withdraw so that we expunge this record from the answer, or if it has to maintain, then my record also has to be registered. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Let me help. Let me help. So the point that you raised earlier was to call to order Honorable Musamali that he was talking about something that didn't concern the subject that we are discussing. And I ruled that he was not out of order, that it was correct for him to proceed the way he was proceeding with the information I gave, which was meant to shape his opinion and his approach. So to that, until then, it was an issue of procedure, and I put it to rest. And now Honorable Aden is debating substantively and referring to that. The only thing I will remove from the record is the fact that you misinformed. You provided the information that he may not agree with, but misinformation is not the correct expression of his thought. But otherwise, there is no personal attack. It's just debate, and that may mention a name here and there in good faith. So let us make it simple. You are all in order, and no one intends to harm another. Let us have that in that spirit, and not revisit matters.
Mr. Speaker, that I view that as harmful, because if I cannot use my floor to make any submission against my own self. You see, I have it's an issue which is also touches me.
So if
I'm also interested.
Honorable Makame, if I may ask you, what party do you want us to withdraw? Because I think I tried to address it. What is specific? The entire debate, or what is it?
No, that part which mentions me.
Which
so
place?
That he should continue his debate without mentioning me, because if he's mentioning me maliciously, then that should be withdrawn.
No. Now, you see, it is not prohibited in our rules that you can refer to what another member has said. Am I wrong? But you must refer to him without being offensive. Yes, a reference to what another member has said can be done, but it should not be offensive, which is why the reference by Honorable Aden that you misinformed is struck out of the record. And your reference to his remarks as being malicious is also struck out of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So let us proceed in the right spirit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With that guidance, and I have nothing personal against my dear colleague, Honorable Dr. Makame, a very good friend of mine. And thank you for your guidance. That is clear. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, I want to commend the committee, as I said earlier, is the fact that they removed the issue of donor funding from the request on vote on account. It will be irregular that before the House fully appraises those programs which are run by those particular donors, as usually is the case when we are looking at the budget. What are those programs? What are they financing and all this? With that information not available, Mr. Speaker, I agree with the committee that that particular issue is removed. I beg to differ with my colleague, Honorable Kim Gai, who wanted something struck, page 6, item number 10. If the committee has put to us that it registers that displeasure because of the reasons given there, I think I will say that we retain that particular clause. As I am, Mr. Speaker, budget making process need not necessarily be politicized and be put in a manner that looks that there is a tug of war between Secretariat and the House. Mr. Speaker, we are privy to what colleagues in the budget committee have been through lately, and until I think as yesterday, I'm informed that some language to say that if you don't pass this, if you don't pass the budget, we will take it to summit, we will take it to wherever. There's a reason why the treaty put every organ and gave power to every organ and the role it plays in this particular budget making process. Nobody, no organ can threaten another unless you amend that particular treaty provision of whatever. If there was a leeway to take this whole idea of making budget to summit, why bring it to why bring it to Yala in the first place? Why? Take it there. Start with summit first, and then bring it to whatever or whichever way provisions that there is there, whatever. Nobody can threaten the East African Legislative Assembly for doing its work. Mr. Speaker, you must also, this House must also take note with a lot of concern that some of senior officers, some of them I have a lot of respect for, on media saying that, members of parliament are debating from or requesting for pay for what they have not earned. Mr. Speaker, that is information in bad faith. That is information that should not, nobody should, not a senior officer of the community should try and misinform things. Let me put it into record. What we are doing on vote on account today, Mr. Speaker, going by the budgetary process that we are supposed to do, it is not IALA that has brought this situation. It is the failure of the executive that has caused the community not to have a budget passed by 30th of June. If IALA demands that these issues are unprocedural, and some of us are putting it in record now, that nobody should try and play drama on the sides in the media. There's nothing you can do about IALA. It is in the treaty. The powers are in the treaty to pass it, to pass that particular issue. Mr. Speaker, you called us into this meeting today. I drove overnight over 400 kilometers to attend this meeting of today. Some senior officer sits somewhere and says that is an procedural meeting that is happening virtually and online and all this.
Bedroom.
Why are you calling me? I'm not talking to you from my bedroom. I never do. I never will. Mr. Speaker, I just want to set it on record that things that are done and procedurally by the Secretariat, by the executive, let me put it that way, in general, is going to catch up with you in the auditor's reports, especially on this budget process. The whole of this budget process, even the one we are passing now, auditors will query whether this was procedural or not procedural. Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that I think it is very important that we work in harmony. It is important and critical that we work in harmony. It is important that the media which informs the people of East Africa are not misinformed by senior officers in an attempt to try and fight EALA. You never will succeed fighting EALA. EALA is empowered by the treaty. You have no authority to pass a budget yourself. Leave EALA and respect EALA to do its process of passing the budget. We have been entrusted by the community to ask the right question. And Mr. Speaker, we're only passing a vote on account, which is on Q1. The main substantive budget is yet to be scrutinized by EALA. I personally will have a lot of interest to look at it detail by detail, line by line. If adequate information is not provided for any particular expenditure, Mr. Speaker, I beg the committee and the chair, Honorable Namara, who is a very able, with his very able team, look at that request for expenditure, reallocate those funds to where it is more deserving. The courts are crying. Some of our institutions are crying for not having enough monies to raise. I personally seriously object to the whole idea of saying that we will continue to expand in growth in terms of size of institutions, yet you want to cut that budget into this, into further that budget into further about almost 20% off, nearly 20% off reduction from that budget is going to be a bigger debate out there ahead of us. With this particular vote on account, Mr. Speaker, I think the committee has done a good job. With those reservations that I have said, the irregularities with regards to passing or bringing this request before the House when there is no revenue that has been set aside to spend this particular expenditure, I beg to support and stand with the committee's decision to request the House to approve this. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Wanjiku.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the onset, I want to support our report as I'm a member of GP, and I love the way the media is covering this session, especially the live stream, because no doubt they can clearly see without further clarification that no session can be covered within 5 minutes. By the time we make prayer when the speaker comes in the assembly, I believe 5 minutes are over. And I want also to say it is time that everyone start counted, whether you are members of the community, directly or indirectly. Even the media fraternity, you are members of this community. So resist to be used, desist to be used to drown the community. Because when you put allegations without confirming that the assembly can handle meetings within 5 minutes, it's practically not logical. Even when we are lying, at least you should lie with some intelligence.
Say something that looks like the truth.
It should be something like look like the truth. Without much ado, Honorable Speaker, in our report, I cannot fail to single out all our institutions which did a very good job by presenting the budget within the shortest time possible as requested. They were given 20 minutes and several of them were able to present the budget even with 5 minutes. But on the same note, I cannot fail to reiterate what Honorable Chair has presented here in Roman number 9 in our report, the frustration and difficulties we encountered with the Secretariat in giving us the information. We were begging, we were literally begging, and we could not finish the meeting in time. This should not be the way, and I believe the mission and vision of this community is people-driven, is people-centered, economic growth. It is never emotional-driven, and it shall never. So officers or senior officers who want to handle matters emotionally and curtail the assembly from its mandate, I believe they should restyle and focus to do what they are called for to do in this community. Honorable Speaker, it is good to mention, because the media is here and the whole world is listening, that this budget has taken Secretariat 4 months. Since 30th of April, this budget was presented to this committee a few weeks ago. And during 4 months, we didn't see any senior officer calling media that the budget is not yet presented. But when the assembly was not able to pass it in 2 days, 48 hours to be precise, it was all over. This is not good. Let each organ, each person do his work. So if budget is supposed to come, there should be no excuses that summit so-and-so died, before summit member died, before a certain council member died, before Corona came to place, budget would have been presented. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I wish all of us to ask ourselves if we are having a challenge as a community with our technical experts. Why do I say this? You remember before this vote on account, the chair council was misled and he presented a vote on account before budget estimate. And we rejected that vote on account. Where was the CTC? Where were the legal instruments, even our clerk's office, to guide the chair council rightfully that before you present vote on account, as per the percentage, we need budget estimate. We understand this has never happened again, but the technical people have experience and know-how. Today, as we sit here, we have seen the office of the clerk calling this sitting, this special sitting, without regard to the provision of Administration of Yala Act or our rules. Our rules, Rule 8358 to be precise, mandate the commission to plan the activities of the assembly. While the speaker is empowered under Rule 10 that he can call a special sitting. A special sitting is also an activity of the assembly. And the rules of procedure cannot supersede the Yala Act. So again, we ask, do we have a problem with our technical expert in the office of the speaker to advise the speaker the right way that before any sitting is called in place, the commission should approve? Yeah. So I think it is time we review, and the SG should take this a bit seriously, find out if our technical experts are working diligently, are they interested, and are they working for the betterment of this community? Because we cannot work like a market. We cannot operate a community like our homes. If anything, Yala and EACJ, not exempting other institutions, we are the last organ to fault the laws. So if Yala can stand and operate without using the right provisions, without observing rule of law, I think we are not headed to the right direction. I want to support this report as it is, and I want to say there was a conversation in the committee. Some members like myself wanted to draft a minority report for some reasons which Honorable Kim Gai is trying to sneak here on the floor now. We shall not accept that because we shall be procedurally wrong. I did not table my minority report because this report was presented as it is with those names which chair is summarizing selectively. So if the amendment will come here on the floor and the names shall be removed, then I beg the House to reject this report, take it back to the committee so that we agree and disagree again in the committee, so that as a member I can get the opportunity to bring my minority report. Else we agreed on this report as it is, and no member should try to sneak some amendment here on the floor. Finally, let the Assembly, Honorable Speaker, and you guide us and you guard us not be intimidated, not be threatened. No amount of intimidation will divert our way of working. The whole media, BBC, all over the world can come and cover. If we are doing the right thing, we shall not be diverted. We are not here as volunteers, so the issue of arrears shall be paid as per the obligation of the community, and that shall not be a tool to be used against us, so that we can shy off to do our work which we have been elected. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to submit as I support this report as it is, without any amendment.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I think you are not looking at Rwanda side.
Yes, I'm coming.
Speaker, right, Honorable.
There is one member on my list who hasn't spoken yet.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
I had appointed a list and I wanted to finish it before I pick another one. Honorable Fancy, do you get me?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for also giving me the chance to contribute in this debate. First of all, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to register my disappointment with the way that Secretariat is working with this assembly. Right Honorable Speaker, Secretariat most of the time has taken this assembly for granted. And that is why even Honorable Oburu has mentioned, that is why until now, the Secretary General has not explained to us why this delay on the budget. And Right Honorable Speaker, Secretariat has gone beyond even on threatening the members of this assembly by telling us that if we are not passing the budget according to what they want, then they will take the budget to the summit. Right Honorable Speaker, we have heard a lot of things going on in the media from the Secretariat, mentioning that our meetings are five minutes meeting. That is undermining the mandate of this assembly. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to remind the Secretariat that this assembly has a leader, and that leader is you. In case there is any query between this assembly and any other organ or any other department of this community, Secretariat should come to you and you will guide, and you can call a member in case the member has done something wrong to any member of any other organ of this community. Right Honorable Speaker, I would also like to put in record that whatever area that this assembly has, we actually worked for it. And I would like to remind them, we even worked during the time of COVID-19. We went to the borders and do everything else to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do in terms of our program. And now, now we're hearing from them that we are not supposed to be paid. That is, to be honest, that is something that make us very, very unhappy. Right Honorable Speaker, as much as I've registered my disappointment, I would like also to support the vote on accounts and urge the Secretariat next time to be punctual and make sure that every program of the community, every program that they have for the betterment of this community, they should be taken seriously. Like right now, all the organs
all the department of the community has been stopped. Why? Because they have not done their job. Right Honorable Speaker, after saying that, I am supporting this vote on accounts, and thank you very much for giving me the chance.
Thank you, Honorable Fancy, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, Honorable Kennedy Musalia, Honorable Dr. Wada, Honorable Kennedy Kalonzo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. At the outset, I would like to start by congratulating Honorable Deng, the Minister for EAC from the Republic of South Sudan, for joining EALA as ex-member of the community. I would also like to thank the Committee on General Purpose under its able leader for a job well done. The report is precise, although I raised some of the concerns, and I hope they'll be able to clarify them. Right Honorable Speaker, I also wanted to emphasize on the importance of accountability. As an assembly, we've done very well with financial accountability, especially when it comes to urging the Secretariat and other institutions of the community to improve on audit reports. And I'm happy to note that for the first time, for the last few years, the assembly, the organs and institutions of the community have been receiving unqualified audit reports or clean audits, which is something commendable. But I'm concerned about the issue of how we manage time, because time is money, and time lost is never recovered, and also failure to adhere to the treaty. Article 132 of the treaty is very clear on budgeting process and on the responsibility of each stakeholder. The Secretariat has to prepare the budget, the Council considers the budget, and the approval process is done by the Assembly. When we look at the pre-budget conference that was held as far back as 30th September to the 1st of October last year, they came up with the calendar, and you realize that most of the preparatory work that was to be coordinated by the Secretariat were ending end of September. It's only submission of the estimates to the F&A and also the summit, the council, that would be done between February and April. And by April, end of April, the report, the estimates, the budget estimates should have been submitted to the Assembly. So the issue of Corona, the problem of Corona last year was not there. So there is no excuse whatsoever. So I really want to urge the Secretariat to improve on the way you do business, and of course the Council to supervise diligently, because we've wasted a lot of time, and this in a way has tampered with the workings of the Assembly. So the issue of accountability on time is very critical, and I also want to urge the Council and the Secretariat again that we should also strengthen staff performance evaluation. There should be accountability on who does what and who doesn't do what, so that if someone lags us behind for 3-4 months to implement the budget, to pass a budget and implement it, someone has to face the consequences, starting with the Office of the Secretary General. Otherwise, it cannot be doing business as usual. So I think we really need to improve on this. I would also like to urge the Council to improve on remittances, because one of the challenges we have is remitting annual contribution in time, especially member states that haven't done good work, so that at least you can be able to do our work. All these are treaty obligations. Every member who joins the community knows that they have to remit funding every year. So if we are contributing to other international organizations, including AU, in time, why can't we communicate to this very important institution, EAC, that is very important, promoting the interests of the community, including trade and also transformation of our community. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I had some few questions on the report. I find that there is a mismatch between vote on account estimates in the first quarter request of the financial year 2020-2021 and also the main budget. Just for an example, you look at the request of the Inter-University Council. In the vote on account, they requested for $3,659,092 US, but when it comes to MTF quarterly budget estimates, it is $3,969,882 US. Same applies to other institutions like the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization. The budget in the vote on account estimate, it was $1,025,978 US request. But when you go to MTF quarter one, it is $749,047, and it is for all institutions. So I find this confusing, and I will need some clarification. And finally, when you look at some of the activities they had budgeted for a quarter, and now we have less than a month. There has also been significant budget cuts by the general purpose, which is in order, from around 32 million to 19 million, which means there is some money that will be saved. So I just wanted to know, this money that will be saved after the review of the entire budget estimate, where will it go? Probably this could go to the areas because some of our institutions like EALA, ESG and others who rely mainly on funding from the community are always facing problems of areas. So finally, on the recommendations, whereas I agree with all the recommendations that were suggested by the committee, but I'm concerned about the language, which in a way shows a level of mistrust between us and other institutions, and probably we can work on the language. Like, for example, if you say, the Assembly should never allow any individual organization to stampede the August House in the course of discharging its mandate. Who is stampeding us? Because for us, I think we are independent in discharging our mandate. This is why there has been even postponing when we didn't have information. I believe we work independently. So unless if we substantiate what stampede mean, otherwise for me, I'll take it as an allegation. And also same applies to where we say self-serving technocrats, misadvised by some self-serving technocrats. I think this is not also correct. Unless if we name and say this is ABC. Otherwise, these reports are archives of the Assembly. Anybody can consult them. So we shouldn't have reports that seem to be like allegations. If they are facts, let us present them. But if we say, because I assume that the council knows their role, they cannot be misadvised. And then you cannot put everybody in the same basket and say self-serving technocrats, because someone can say, what does this mean? Or information. Someone can say this is defamation.
Honorable Ambassador,
so,
I
want to end on that. Whereas I agree with everything.
You wanted to inform, but also
inform you.
To summarize your debate. Honorable Musamali.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Ambassador Fatuma, for giving way. The information I want to give you is that I'm a member of the General Purpose Committee, and this particular provision you are quoting is that we are not alleging the Secretary General of the East African Community appeared before the Committee of General Purpose, and he said I want you to pass this budget, this vote on account, and even start working on the budget. And if you don't do it, I can take this budget and it will be passed by the summit. Now, he said that, and personally, and even the committee, we felt it was not in good faith. That is another way. By the way, we as an independent house, that is another way of intimidating members of the house. That's another way of cajoling the house. When in actual sense,
Honorable
it is
Musamali,
themselves who failed
you are informing and you are not debating.
Okay, it is themselves who failed to present the budget on time, but instead they are now coming to stampede the House and the committee. So, Honorable Ambassador, that is the information I want to give.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm concluding, but I think they should write what they are saying. But the way if you make it vague, stampede, misadvise, self-seeking technocrats, anybody can interpret it anyhow. So that information you have with evidence is what should come in the report, in my view, rather than putting something that is vague and can be subject to misinterpretation. So these are my views, Right Honorable Speaker. I support the report, and I want to thank both the Council and the committee for a good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mukulia.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to air my views as far as the report on General Purpose Committee on the vote of account for the financial year 2020-2021. On the onset, also let me join other members in welcoming the Minister for EAC for the Republic of South Sudan. You're welcome to this August House, and feel free to join us in any deliberation that we might be undertaking. Right Honorable Speaker, we spent better part of our time for 2 weeks intermittently in considering the vote of account. And I am a member of this General Purpose Committee, and I'm serving my second term. I don't know whether I will have third, fourth term to continue being in this committee. However, I want to say that as far as some of the information that appeared in the reports are concerned, you can remember that when the Chair Council of Ministers tabled this budget on the floor of the House, with your wise guidance, otherwise we were supposed to consider this budget as it was that time, the vote on account. You had to rule that is it subject to the committee, shall it be taken to the committee, or because the order paper already indicate that we will be going to Committee of Supply. That was part of why we said stampeding the assembly, because you just bring something and you expect that the House considers it as it was. So that's how we also came up with that stampeding word that has been there in the recommendation. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to inform the House that the Assembly, the committee did not in any way rationalize any budget. The budgets that the committee presented in the report are as presented by the organs and institutions of the community. I want to say this, that I am impressed by the organs and some institutions of the community. We really took less than 10 minutes with them for us to consider what they have presented. They gave us that we need this, we don't want this, and we want this to go to the main budget. And we considered it as it is. When it came to where the EAC is located, at one point, we almost, if we are near each other, I think we might have gone into taekwondo. Sorry to use this word, Right Honorable Speaker, where we are saying, do what you want to do with complete impunity, with complete disregard to the powers that the treaty gave to this assembly. I found that very irrational, Right Honorable Speaker, and I must say that time I was co-chairing it, and I ruled that some of the officers leave the discussion and more officers come to at least help us proceed. Otherwise, if that did not happen up to today, even the vote of account could not have been considered, because some officers were looking at us as if we are, as they have put it, hungry buffaloes. So I don't know what is meant by hungry buffaloes, or what. Those were the words used on this committee. And the committee was very candid, trying to demand things so that we move on. We want to consider that this community moves on. Right, Honorable Speaker, if it's not because, let me be honest, if it's not because we want the community to move on and to stand, trust me, this vote of account will not go through. I must be honest here. It won't go through because of some of the threats we have received and some of the things that have been told to us. But we say, fine, let's also use diplomacy where there is violence, try diplomacy to make sure that things go on. Yes, we considered it, and here it is. And I believe the report, whatever is written in the report, reflects exactly the discussion and reflects whatever has happened during the deliberation of this vote on account. Right, Honorable Speaker, as we proceed here, I want to say this, that we are going to consider the main budget. Of course, we are told that if you don't approve the vote of account, then yes, we are going to take this budget to the summit, and the summit has ever done so, and they can do so. You know, we consider that a threat. We don't think we have failed to consider the vote of account. We have failed to consider the budget. We said, give us way forward. What we do for us to move? An appropriate answer is yes, please. If we are supposed to go forward, this is ABC, the step. Then say, okay, this is how we are going to go, and we will have gone that way. But of course, there's no amount of intimidation, there's no amount of threat that, to me personally, can ever make me divert from my principles. If my conscience tells me that this is how it's supposed to go,
please stick it to your principles.
And that's why I'll stick to my principle. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
All right.
So we want to make sure that we next time truly cooperate among ourselves. I don't think I will have any other thing against the secretariat or any other organ of the community or any other person of the community. What we want is give us solutions where we have failed. And that's the reason as to why we have to interact with you. And I want to say that it's in the main budget, when we are considering, we need the council to bring back the issue of capacity building back to the secretariat and allocate funding for it. Otherwise, it's an important component that members of the secretariat and other organs are capacitated so that they can handle, because technology is developing, things are moving forward. So we should be able to capacitate them, even ourselves. I'm not excluding myself from capacity building. So please don't think I've excluded myself, but rather all of us in this community, this money that has been appearing $1 in the main budget, I'm sure we have to increase it to another amount of money so that we can be able to capacitate ourselves. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I support this report as it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Dr. Oda, then Honorable Kalonzo, and we proceed to the next step.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to apologize for the interruption which happened earlier. And secondly, I want to welcome and congratulate our Minister of ESC, Honorable Deng Alor. You are welcome to this August House. And Right Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to support the report of the Committee of General Purpose on the vote on account. And I really want to congratulate the committee under the able leadership of the chair, Honorable Namara. And also I want really to comment and appreciate the staff of this community, especially IALA member, because Right Honorable Speaker, we have worked very diligently under very risky circumstances, and the unknown of this coronavirus, when everyone was hiding in their houses. The IALA members went from ministry to ministry, from places to places, really doing their work diligently. And I want to set this on these records, because as we have heard that we are not doing our work, And I want to really congratulate this August House for doing its work very diligently under very risky circumstances. Right, Honorable Speaker, as all of us are aware that we are really behind, way behind the schedule for this budget. And I really hope that next year the Secretariat will do its job at the schedule time for the budget processes as it's scheduled in the Act, in the Budget Act. Right, Honorable Speaker, I will not really dwell in what other members have said, but I was really not happy because it's really unfortunate that some of the institutions and organs of this community were not cooperative with the members of this GP committee to scrutinize and do their work diligently. And what I request in the future, that let's work as the community together so that we do the best for the East African citizens and also execute our work diligently. I beg to support, and I thank the committee for its work. Thank you. All right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kalonzo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me first welcome our Minister from South Sudan, who will be joining us. Right Honorable Speaker, the onset I want to declare that I support this report as it is. However, I will ask your indulgence on one clarification raised by Honorable Ambassador Fatuma. I understood her to mean that on page number, I think it's 6, she would want details mentioned specifically and those officers involved names. I find that I do not have an objection to that. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I support this report with a few reservations, and I want it to go on record as follows. That firstly, this House will never be a tool for simply stamping what the executive wishes us to stamp with abdication of our duties. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, I was very dismayed to see some reports in the media, and I'm happy they are all here. I wish that these, busybody technocrats, if they had so much time, would ensure that we get our budget on time and we would avoid all this pain and heartache. I mean, I am aware and I would want the Secretary General to tell us, because I'm sure this will be an audit query, what magic formula he will use to ensure that this vote on accounts is absorbed, and myself as the chair of accounts and the accounts committee are not tasked with an audit query asking why funds have not been used or why they have not been implemented. Honorable Abdikadir had mentioned that we have 3 weeks left on this quarter. Fourth, I also want to mention that I wish the Secretary General would take accountability for his executive. I do not understand why we do not get our budget on time. If it is an issue of staffing, of challenges that he has, he can tell us and we can raise with our summit members, with our council members, so as to avoid all this. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, it's not clear from the reports, but I want the committee to assure me that all committees of the Assembly have been in fact catered for, because I think from the last deliberations, one committee was missing. So with those few remarks, I want to submit, and I want to remind the CTC to inform his colleagues, I mean the lawyers in the House will understand, of the principle of equity, which says he who comes must come with clean hands. So let us try and be amicable, But I'm the view, if everyone does what they are supposed to do in the right time frame, we will avoid these messes we find ourselves in unnecessarily. We all want the community to prosper, to grow, but we cannot do so if we are continuing to flaunt our own laws. Yala is a house of laws, it's a house of records. So with those few remarks, Right Honorable Speaker, thank you again. And I submit, I support the report as it is. If the committee, through the chair, and I must thank them for their good work, Honorable Namara, feel that they want to go into detail as raised by Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, I have no objections, but Right Honorable Speaker, I support this report as is. I submit.
Motion.
Thank
Motion.
you.
Motion.
Who is raised? Yes, who is that, please?
Honorable Kim Gai.
Yes, Honorable Kim.
Honorable Speaker, I raise a motion on Rule 30C. Read it. Which is said, Rule 30, motion which may be moved without notice, Rule 30C, is reading any motion for adjournment of a debate. Since I beg to move, Prime Speaker.
Yes, seconder. We are basically going through the same exercise. Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim. So the motion as presented by Honorable Kim Gai and seconded by Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, Honorable Rose Jakor and others is that we must end the debate?
Yes, Prime Speaker.
Okay. Yes. Those in support, raise your hands. Those against?
What are you saying, Honorable Speaker? I didn't hear.
Clarification, right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kim is moving so that we conclude the debate and we move to the next step. That's the motion. So those in favor and those against? So those in favor have it. So basically we are ending the debate, but of course we have to, we will not skip any procedure. So there are some members of the House who have to come in necessarily, given the issues that have been raised. So I will invite the Secretary General, then the chair of the committee, then the chair council, and we proceed like that. Honorable Karonzo, you want to say something?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I was wondering when you can guide me on the clarification I raised about the remarks by Honorable Ambassador Fatuma.
So they were not addressed to me. The chair of the committee will address them.
Yes. I stand guided.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, in the first place, I would like to also appreciate the work which was done by the committee. I understand you have raised many issues, which I will try very briefly to address. And I also have quite a few things to put on record. I think it's very important. Honorable members, the budget process is guided by the Budget Act, so there is legislation on that, and by our financial rules and regulations. We started with the first stage last year, what we call the pre-budget conference. It was done timely, and the Budget Act, the financial rules and regulations require that we submit the budget to the partner states before the end of December. And we did exactly that. So we were compliant in terms of submitting the budget to the partner states. Then the partner states came to Arusha to discuss that budget between 3rd and 10th of March 2020. That's when the Finance and Administration Committee met in Arusha to discuss the budget. And IALA is always part of the discussion. And that was done timely and in compliance with our laws. Then, honorable members, you all know what happened in March. Some borders started closing, and a few weeks later, all the borders were closed. We tried to convene meetings, so we have evidence of that. And the council was not taking place. Then the law tells us that when you reach the end of June, before the budget is submitted to IALA and is voted, you need to request an extension to the Assembly. Honourable members, we did write twice. We wrote letters to the Speaker requesting an extension and on time and in compliance with the laws. And the Speaker responded. Then we had the council meeting, which finally took place on 4th of August. And 2 days later, we submit the budget to the Assembly. So we did not take 1 or 2 or 3 weeks before submission of the budget. The law said that before we submit the budget to the Assembly, it has to be submitted and adopted by the Council. So that budget was adopted on 4th of August and submitted to you 2 days later. Honourable members, the budget of the Secretariat cannot be compared with the budget of institutions. The Secretariat has about 45 sectors or departments, of which a sector can be as big as one institution. So that budget, honourable members, really is not always easy to handle. But again, we came to you with a budget which had been adopted by the Council. If there were any issues about explaining that budget to you by my officers, I do regret that, and we'll make sure that next time, when we present that budget, which, as I say, is already done, as far as you are concerned, the budget, when it's adopted by Council, we give it to you as it has been adopted by the Council. But I guess here there was a problem about clearly explaining it to the committee. The vote on account is provided for by Article 6 of the Budget Act. So this is to say...
Honorable Kennedy, do you want to speak? Sorry. Your microphone is not on.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg your indulgence, and Secretary General, I am understanding the SG to say that on his part, he complied with the rules and regulations. My query is just to be, that being the case, and if that is so, congratulations, why did we not get the budget on time, which is what has led us to this mess? I submit, Speaker.
But I think that is what he's explaining. Maybe we should take time and listen to him, because that's the whole point of his interjection now.
So the vote on account is provided for by Article 6 of the Budget Act. So it's a legal instrument which is there and which we can use when we are in this kind of circumstances. The honourable members, I just want to make sure you understand that if we requested for extensions, it is because the Council could not meet. And you know that all the countries were really in the midst of these COVID-19 issues. Some of the partner states were conducting their elections, and some of the countries had actually written on time telling the community that they cannot attend a council meeting before a certain date. So not debating this budget at the council level is really independent from our will as Secretariat. We could not hold a council meeting and we had to wait. but we made sure that, as the law requires, we alert the Assembly and have the authorization to get an extension, and we did that. Now, about the arrears. Honourable members, I wish to remind some of you who may not remember that we did table this issue at the council meeting on 4th of August. The issue of borrowing from some institute of paying arrears for Yala and eventually for borrowing from institutions was discussed. And there was a council directive on that. When you read that directive, they say that Yala will pay their members when we receive contributions from partner states. And that's why we went for a borrowing upon the request of Yala. Yala requested to borrow money from other institutions, and we made sure that we addressed this issue with the council. We wrote a letter, I signed a letter, and sent it to partner states. And as I mentioned yesterday during a meeting with the General Purpose Committee, we are making progress. I'm sure that you remember that when we initially discussed this matter, there was no payment. In the meantime, some payments have been made. And we are still working on that. And today I met with the Speaker, and I'm sure that we will end up getting the right solution for this problem. Now, honourable members, I think when we met yesterday, I told you very clearly that if the activities of the community are stuck, if the money we receive from donors is there and is not working, and we are not implementing the activities that we planned with money from partner states, with money from donors, I have to alert the summit. After trying for a long time and seeing that things are not working out, I have the obligation of CEO of this community, of the Secretariat of Yala and all other institutions. I have to tell the council and I have to tell the summit that we have a problem. That's what I meant. I never meant that Yala is not necessary to pass a budget, but of course, as you know, in the hierarchy of this budget process, we have the summit. And I'm the secretary of the summit. I have to tell them when the entire activities of the community are at home. That's what I meant. I did not dispute the powers of Yala, but I cannot remain silent when the activities are basically stopped for some time. That's what I meant, honourable members. I would like to assure you that the issues and some of the problems which were encountered during this budget process will be discussed very seriously, and I will be asking my officers exactly what went wrong. I will certainly be approaching some of the members of the committee to know exactly what happened, and we will make sure that we avoid these kind of problems, especially when, as far as I'm concerned, the budget was very clear. We brought to you a budget which was discussed with all the countries, all the organs, institutions, including Yala. So that budget was really clear. So I will address some of these issues to make sure that we don't talk about it again in the future. Honourable members, I will conclude by assuring all of you that there is good capacity in the Secretariat. There is very good capacity in the Secretariat, and maybe it's time that the members, all of us, sometimes congratulate ourselves. We should not wait for people outside of the community to congratulate us. The report in May 2020, which was published in Addis Ababa by the African Development Bank, African Union placed EAC as #1. It was the best performing regional economic community, and we have to be proud of that. It does not mean that we do not encounter some problems. Of course, there are problems, and it is our duty, all of us ought to work to make sure that we actually work on our shortcomings and our problems. There will always be problems, but we have to keep moving and we have to keep being positive. As a Chair.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. I now invite the committee chair to respond to some of the issues raised, and I understand that most of actually all members supported your report. So that informs you something as you come in.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank all the members who have debated on this report. And as you have clearly indicated, we do not have any person opposing the report. But I want first to respond to some few issues as put forward by honourable colleagues. Honourable Musamali had raised the issue of areas and was not sure if how the areas are going to be paid given the circumstances. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I would want to allay the fears of members because by the time we considered this report, we had thought out even of another system of how we're going to protect ourselves. And we looked at one is that there's goodwill from council. They have assured us that they're going to pay the money. That council chair is here. We have been interacting with most of the council members, and they have assured that they are going to get this money got from the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization or the Inter-University Council. However, Right Honourable Speaker, in the most unlikely event that this money is not paid, we shall not hesitate, honourable members, to invoke Regulation 29 of the financial rules and regulations, especially Regulation 29.3 that talks about the unutilized funds at the end of the 3-month period, that is by 30th September, shall be transferred to the General Reserve Bank account. And it is further saying, any commitment, honourable members, listen to this one, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, any commitment of the budget period in question shall at the time be cancelled or where the commitment remains a legal liability shall be transferred as a commitment against the current appropriation. As you are aware, honourable members, that we are contractually doing this work as per terms of service. We are supposed to be paid when we sit, whenever we sit, it does not matter. So if by 30th September, they have not paid us our money, as a committee, we looked here and we said this becomes a legal liability, which goes against the appropriations of the current financial year. So Honourable Chair Council, we want to assure you that if you don't pay this money for the members for the areas, we shall, as the Chair GP and members of GP, we shall put it in the current budget of this financial year if you do not pay. Honourable Kim Gai talked about the issue of deleting the words I had mentioned. I was summarizing. I did not skip or delete any word or change any word from the report just because I was summarizing some parts of the report. So I will not agree with Honourable Kim Gai on the issue of deleting those issues. Honourable Aden Abdulkadir, indeed, as they said, the issue of the budget being brought vis-a-vis the income, the expenditure vis-a-vis the income, we are made to understand, even when we are chairing this committee and having these meetings, the Republic of Uganda has already, as usual, sent in very substantial amounts of money to the Secretariat regarding this financial year. So there is some money at least coming in from different stakeholders. And I agree with you, Honourable Aden, when you disagree on the issue of striking out the names as put forward by Honourable Kim Gai. On that one, I agree with Honourable Abdul Kadir. The issue of the threats to the committee, as indeed as Honourable Abdul Kadir said, and many other members, the issue of stampeding, and also this answers the question, the issue put forward by Honourable Ambassador Fatuma. Honourable members, when we are considering this report, in the first place, the council brought the request for vote on account, and on the order paper, they had already communicated going to approve this vote on account without it being referred to the relevant committee, which was against the law. And because of that, it was construed as an act by council to try and stampede the assembly to pass a vote on account without going through the due process of law as required. on the issue of the wordings, of course, we have had a lot of challenges with Secretariat, some of them calling us angry or hungry buffaloes. I don't know whether I'm an angry or hungry one. I can be both, actually. But try and intimidating members and also saying that they can circumvent and take this matter to summit. Good enough, the SG has responded to it. But saying you can take the matter to summit. I want to assure you, members, there is no one who can, there is no way summit can approve this budget unless you delete and remove Ayala. Summit cannot approve the budget of the community. People can even invoke public interest litigation and take summit to court if they try to circumvent the process of law. And honorable colleagues, I want to assure you that people should not invoke the issue of summit because we come from these summit members sent us. I don't think you are closer to these summit members than some of us. Even now, just before I came, I was talking to my summit member on the phone regarding many issues. So don't intimidate us by bringing issues of summit because we are very close to these presidents.
I am there also.
I think this also answers the same question of
now it is your turn to intimidate. Sorry. It's on a light note.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, they say a chai is sweet, so when you eat, you must exert your power in some of these issues. I think those were the remarks by most of the members, but all of them were actually thanking us. So I would want to thank the following members for supporting and debating on this report. Honorable Rosa Kor, Honorable Makame, Honorable Munya, Honorable Dr. Oburu, Honorable Fatuma, Honorable Samali, Honorable Kim Gai Ruotu Job Rock, Honorable Aden Abdukadir, Honorable Wanjiku, Honorable Fancy, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, Honorable Mukuya, Honorable Dr. Woda, Honorable Kalonzo. I think those were the members. I beg to submit to the Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. May I request for 3 minutes health break? I suspend for 3 minutes only health break. House is suspended.
Hey, how are you, Jamatia?
Honorable,
Hey.
Honorable
Jamatia.
Mustafa.
Yes.
Hey, Jamadia.
I am calling my summit member now also.
Your president.
order.
Honorable Chris, and the company, please let us proceed. Thank you so much. It looks like it's just me who wanted that health break. Thank you for allowing that. Now I ask the chair council to come in. Chair council to respond to some of these issues. This is your motion. Is the chair council in the room? Honorable Oda, is the chair council in the room?
5 minutes, Right Honorable Speaker. In Kigali, we can extend a little bit, like 2 minutes. Give us 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Is someone looking for the council chair? Okay. Yes, in the meantime, Honorable Kalonzo, in the meantime, as you want, the council chair is here already. Okay, the council chair is here. Let us proceed with the council chair. We'll come back to you, Honorable. Honorable Order, your microphone is on. You haven't moved. Yes, Honorable Council Chair, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker and members. First of all, let me thank the GP Committee for the work well done. I appreciate what they did, sometimes in difficult conditions. I did hear the SG and what he said about the postponement of the council meetings, and has a point. There are many events that happened, and every time you called a council, one member or one country did not avail itself to attend to the meeting. And as such, this situation had to be because of situations beyond our control. I don't have to go into details. I think most of you members know this. Now, the issue of lack of cooperation, which was highlighted and which also I tackled when I was meeting the GP committee some time back, should not happen as the SG has said, and as council, we are going to make sure that we check what's happening, whether it's the issue of the capacity, we address the capacity. If to the issue of coordination, again, we try to make sure that the coordination is available to make sure that the budget plus other activities of the secretariat and of the community take place in orderly manner. This, I think, the council has taken note. Now, on the issue of the areas, Honorable Speaker, you remember that the meeting that took place on the 4th of August had urged that we pay you from the areas owed by member countries, but later on 25th of this month, we did consult with our colleagues in the community to borrow from other organs to pay your areas. And here I want to make my record very clear. I did call my colleagues from all the countries, and at least 3 of them said they are going to send letters. I think the word sending and receiving, there was some lapse of gap that was misconstrued to mean that I gave wrong information, so not wrong. I was promised to get letters, and I said I have commitments from member countries to get letters of no objection to allow us to borrow and pay your areas. To date, we have 4 no objections. We have 2 pending. I think members from Uganda showed us a letter. I hope to be signed today. Then we shall be remaining with Tanzania. Now, Mr. Speaker, just to take you back a bit, when I made the GP committee sometime last week, we did request members from Tanzania to talk to their counterparts, try to ask to give us no objection to borrow this money and to pay you. I hope this no objection will also be forthcoming so that we pay areas due to you. Of course, this is a liability that has to be met, and there's no question about this. The issue of putting in the budget, personally, I have no problem, but I think we should not have to go that route if we can avoid it, and I think we will. And so I call upon members that have not given an objection to do so that we pay the areas due to you. Now, there's an issue that I want today to speak on, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, the issue of cooperation between us. And when I say between us, I mean the House.
Honorable members, sorry, Honorable Minister, honorable members, I've tried to text some of you, but unfortunately, you know we have some rules that govern how we take refreshments. Yes, and they have not changed. And may I remind you, you are on camera, and we are live streaming. So please, I know it's the beginning, and the beginning is always difficult, but remember to read these rules from time to time, so that we get used to them, because we don't know for how long we shall be working in this situation. Okay, Honorable Minister, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I was talking about cooperation between us and among us. And here I'm talking about the House, the Secretariat, and of course the Council. I think there should be total cooperation and harmony. So I believe that the issue of name calling or using words or names that are not fit for this level should be avoided as much as possible. Nor should there be any intimidation from any party or organ to another party or organ, whatever, however, regardless of the reason that this may have been caused. So I think we need to have that spirit of cooperation all the way so that we serve the community in a amicable manner, without intimidation, without jeopardy, and without demean of any party or person at all. This is my wish, that we need to work together for the bigger picture of the community. Indeed, this is why we are here for. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, with these few remarks, I beg to submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Council Chair. Thank you so much. Honorable members, I now propose the question. And the question is, this assembly do resolve to constitute itself into a committee of supply to approve a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the EAC for the financial year 2020-2021. I now put the question that this assembly do resolve to constitute itself into a committee of supply to approve a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the EAC for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor, have it.
We proceed to item number 5 on the order paper, Committee of Supply.
Honorable members, we stand up for the mace to be lowered. Thank you. We are now sitting as a committee of supply. We are now sitting as a committee of supply.
We start with Committee of Supply, Roman 1, approval of vote on account.
EAC Secretariat, $116,188,133. East African Court of Justice, $1,323,469. East Africa Legislative Assembly, $5,585,242. Lake Victoria Basin Commission.
Yes, Chair, Committee, General Purpose.
I wanted a clarification whether we're on the same page, Honorable Speaker, because if I'm looking at the vote on account, I'm looking at page 8, where Secretariat is $90 million, not $16 million.
This is unfortunate.
Yes, Honorable Chair,
what is happening now as to read the proposal as it was brought by the council. And in the coming steps, you will come in as a committee to amend the proposal. You see the point? Yes, in the next step, the committee report will come with some of the amendments on this proposal, and we will proceed with that. So now we are just reading as they were brought by the council. Thank you.
Procedure? Procedure, Right Honorable?
Yes, Honorable Rose.
Right Honorable Speaker, sorry to come in and Chair, sorry to come in at this stage. We are now at the Committee of Supply, Right Honorable, and the House has debated the report and actually agreed on the report presented by the committee. And we are now looking at the figures as presented by the committee. So, procedure, Right Honorable Speaker, at this point in time at Committee of Supply, wouldn't it be procedure right that we proceed with the figures vote by vote as presented by the committee, and we pass these figures? Yes. Vote on account. Yes. Yeah, because the committee has already considered the report presented by council, and this is now the committee report that we are looking at. So it should be vote by vote. Right, Honorable Speaker. I beg to submit.
Honorable members, I'm guided that I'm advised that's the procedure because we are now dealing with the council motion. But when I put the question, I will have integrated the figures as proposed by the committee. So right? When I put the question, it will include. When I put the question, it will be a committee's figure, and that is what we will vote for. Is it clear? So this is how we have always done it. So we are dealing with the council motion, but when I put the question, I will not put the question based on the figures of the council. I will put the question based on the figures of the committee. Is it clear?
Procedure, Chair.
But I thought these things are supposed to be standard. Let me go back to Honorable Rose. I'm sure.
Procedure.
Wait, Honorable Msamari. Honorable Rose, I'm sure this is not the first time you have dealt with issues of budget. How does it happen always? How does it happen always? So that we don't seem to be inventing new things. So what happens? You have been in the budget before. Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, Honorable Dr. Oburu, if you are still around, please tell us what happens. We are not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I have ever been the chairperson budget committee for about 7 years in Parliament. I think we even skipped a stage where the chair council, being the move of the motion, actually to move that we proceed to the Committee of Supply. And once we have started as Committee of Supply, we are now dealing with the figures as provided by the committee for vote on account. That's where we go to. Because actually we've come a long way debating the report as provided by council to the committee. We have debated it. And we are all in agreement with the figures that the committee has come up with. So now we are moving on vote by vote. If there are any figures that could need amendment, this is the stage where we amend. I would think so. For me, that is the procedure I'm used to in my Parliament of Uganda. Right, Honorable. Maybe being East Africa, we are trying to harmonize and have other partner states, harmonizing together, and we move on together. So if there's any other different procedure, maybe members could justify and put such procedures, right, Honorable?
Thank you, Honorable Rose. But maybe let me first correct the record that I said in the beginning. I reminded the House that the motion was moved before, so it wasn't going to be moved the second time. So the Council Chair moved the motion in our previous sittings, so it was resumption. Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim.
Chair, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think because of this lockdown, many members, I think, have forgotten the procedural way of handling after the committee debates. Honorable Chair, if you look at Article 77 of the Rules of Procedure, Committee of Supply, there shall be a Committee of Supply and all that, to which it shall be referred the annual estimate, any supplementary estimate, and any vote on account. Chair, in the subsequent sub-article, upon an order of the day, we have gone through that. The House do resolve itself to Committee of Supply for the purpose of enabling the initiation of debate on the policy implied under fourth. And I think, Chair, if you look at that, it clearly says after the debate, then as a procedural matter, I think we are in the right way. And I think what the clerk is doing is to walk us through the proposed bill and then what is supposed to, the committee has approved. And I think he's in order to do that. And Chair, I want to confirm that I was also a budget committee of the National Assembly.
Thank you very much. And in the end, we shall arrive at the same destination. So I think we proceed the way we had started.
Lake Victoria Basin Commission, US dollar 2,793,352. East African Science and Technology Commission, US dollar 512,250. East African Kiswahili Commission, US dollar 466,439. East African Health Research Commission, 626,533. East African Competition Authority, US dollar 300.
Procedure, Chair. Procedure, Chair.
0.
Yes. Okay.
Procedure.
Hold on. Who is that? Honorable Mukulia?
Yes, please. It's Mukulia.
Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker, procedurally, we are right now in a committee of ways and means. In the committee of supply, we go to the committee report. And the motion is to constitute a committee of supply, not a committee of ways and means. So, Right, Honorable Speaker, I do think procedurally we are not correct. Thank you.
No, Honorable Kennedy, can you substantiate that? Can you explain further?
Okay, rule. Okay, let me read Rule 79.
And you proceed based on the rules. Yes.
Yes. Committee of Ways and Means.
Which rule?
76.
Proceed.
If you go to number 2, 76. The committee shall consider the financial statement presented by council. So what the clerk right now is doing is presenting the financial statement. And this is by the Committee of Ways and Means. Because he's presenting the financial statement as presented by council. But when we constitute into Committee of Supply, we automatically go to consider the estimates as presented by the committee. That's what I mean. Thank you. Because if you go to 77.3, that's when you can see it. Rule 77.3. What we are doing is Rule 76.2, which is Committee of Means and Ways.
So, Honorable Mukuria.
Yes.
Can you read Rule 77, Sub Rule 5? Read it aloud.
Okay, 77.5. The House shall consider any vote on account in the Committee of Supply.
So, have you found a rule that takes us into the Committee of Ways and Means in this particular case?
Because, okay, we are here now dealing with the Committee of Supply, which means if we are dealing with the Committee of Supply, then there's no need to read the financial statement as presented by Council. That's where it takes us to Rule 76. If we have to go to the Committee of Supply, we will automatically consider Rule 77.5 as said. But when we go to read the financial statement, because in Rule 77, there's nowhere you will find the financial statements as presented by Council are allowed to be read. Completely, Rule 77 is silent about reading financial statements.
Can also read 77.3.
77.3. The House shall consider the annual estimates in the Committee of Supply for a period not exceeding 7 days. This is 3 months, which is in 90 days. So 77.3 also does not apply.
So, I really want you to make it simple for me, because my understanding is that because we are dealing with the vote of on account, then 76 does not apply.
Yes.
Now I want you to take me to where it makes it necessary that we have to go to 76. 70 doesn't apply.
Yes.
So is your point
right,
that because
Speaker,
we are now is your point that because we are in 77, which is the provision that applies on vote on account, that we shouldn't be doing this, what we are doing?
Yes, exactly.
Why? Where is the prohibition?
What the clerk is reading, as he has said, he's reading the financial statement
No,
as
he's
presented
reading,
by Council.
he's reading the figures from the motion of the Council.
Yes, those are the financial statements. The motion as from the Council, including those figures,
now,
are financial statements.
What I want you to help me is to tell me which rule says we should not be doing that.
Right, Honourable Speaker, thank you so much. I think members have said that at this point of time, we will proceed to immediately consider the vote on account as presented by the committee, where we are going to go to Rule 77.5. The report of the conference said the East African Secretariat presented, the committee says it's 9 million. So that's why we consider 9 million.
Okay,
we cannot go to read the others.
Let me rule. You see, there are so many ways rules can be interpreted. Honorable Kennedy, you are right in your observation. Yes,
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Fatima.
I think the whole report, including the proposal by the council, is the report of the committee. So there is no one report for the committee and one report for the council. This report, the chair table, is the report of the committee, including the proposed and the approved figures. So this is the report for the committee. It's not a report of two parts of, yeah, chair, that's how I understand.
And therefore, are we correct the way we are proceeding or wrong?
Procedure, Honorable Chair.
Well, let me finish with the member on the floor first.
Information.
Honorable Fatuma, are
Yeah,
we?
I think we have opted to be the committee on supplies. As a house. And chair, there is no sequence of how the report should be subjected. And I don't agree that we should have sat as a committee of ways and means before committee of supply. So I think the House has opted with their guidance to sit as a committee of supply. Thank you, Chair. Otherwise, we should suspend that.
Because there is no member so far who is telling me that he has found a rule that stops us from doing what we are doing. There is just interpretation of how you think it should be understood. And that can cause a debate longer than we need to get this done. So let us proceed the way we are proceeding, and please accept that this is how I am interpreting. So let us proceed.
Yes.
Complete this, and we put this to rest.
East Africa Competition Authority, $376. Inter-University Council for East Africa, $3,659,052. Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization, $1,025,978.
Okay, thank you, honorable members. I now propose the question that the amounts proposed under the various organs and institutions as read out by the clerk be approved as vote on account Qatar for their first quarter expenses for the financial year 2020-2021. Okay, honorable members, we proceed. Now be careful about the figures. I propose the question that a total sum of USD 16,188,133 under vote 001 be provided for the expenses of the East African Community Secretariat as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the year.
No.
That is not
the procedure. No.
That is not what we
Point of clarification.
Procedure.
That is not what we are.
Honorable Chair.
And I thought what is here is 9 million.
Honorable Fatuma.
Honorable Chair.
Procedure.
My initial comment was that the clerk will walk us through the report. And what you are proposing, Honorable Speaker or Chair, or this session is not the issue. The Honorable Chair, our proposal for the final vote on account for the first quarter of 2020, 2021.
Honorable Jematia, you are interfering in the debate. Yes. Honorable Fatuma, proceed, please.
Honorable Chair, what you will subject the House to adopt as a committee of supplies is on table 1, page 8.
Yes. Vote 001.
Vote on account for the first quarter of 2020-21 on page 8. Not the proposal of the Secretariat, because what you are proposing is the proposal of the Secretariat.
What is the figure
Procedure,
in the
Chair.
table you have? Let's see, please, let's be orderly. Honorable
Speaker,
Kennedy, please.
if you move to page 8.
Honorable Fatuma, the figure I read in the proposal, for example, the figure I just read is 16,188,133.
Is wrong.
What figure do you have?
9 million.
Which we supplied.
It's 19 million.
095.
On vote 001. On vote 001.
28.788.
On vote
001.
Yes.
What is the figure?
9,095,178.00.
Yeah,
Procedure,
now that was,
Chair, that's
listen,
procedure,
you see
Chair.
what happens, listen first. What happens is I tell you that I now propose. Then after, I now put a question.
You are right.
And when I...
Procedure, right, Honorable?
But there is vote of account. 78C.
What is this?
Listen, honorable members, what is happening is I propose the figure of the council, then the chair of the committee amends it. Yes.
Procedure.
Chair.
Let me first explain, because if we all speak at a time, we will not proceed. Can I speak? Can you members lower your hands as I speak? Yes. I propose a figure as proposed by council, and then the committee chair requests to amend it and comes with his figure, and the council concedes or doesn't concede. I think that is how it goes.
Yes.
Honorable Rose.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, maybe just for all of us to be aware that it is only this assembly that has the power of appropriation. And it is the reason Council has brought the budget before this assembly. Now, when this assembly received the estimate and therefore the vote on account, it considered the figures presented by Council. And Council was invited by the committee to make its presentations before the committee. Now, having listened to Council, the Committee on General Purpose came up with a report, which report we have debated here in the House. Now, Committee of Supply is to supply the figures that the Committee on General Purpose has presented to the Assembly and have been debated. Now, during Committee of Supply, Right Honorable Speaker will mention the figures as presented by the Committee of General Purpose. If Council has an objection, when you propose, and then now put the second that I now, that is the point at which Council now comes up if they object to the figures as presented by the committee and give a justification. Now,
information.
when
Honorable
they give
Kennedy,
that, I'm still
well, you are
giving
being very
information as well, right,
disruptive.
Honorable?
Honorable Kennedy,
So-
you are being very disruptive.
No, I'm trying to give guidance also.
Just wait.
Okay.
So
Honorable
at
Rose,
that
can you finish?
point, after Right Honorable Speaker, you have given the figures as presented by the Committee of General Purpose. We are going to do it vote by vote, and Council will have an opportunity to make an adjustment at that point in time as you make your proposal that you propose now. And when you are putting the question is when Council comes up, either to if there is an objection. If there is no objection, then we continue and supply. And you say those in favor say at the contrary, no. Yes, and that's how we proceed. And we move to the second vote like that. That is how it's supposed to be. Because what we have considered here is the report of the Committee of General Purpose. Right, Honorable? And that's how we shall move, vote by vote. I beg to submit.
Honorable members, this is the first time we are handling a vote on account, and what is being proposed to me is different from what we did, for example, when we were passing the previous budget, where I was presiding.
Yes.
It's very, Honorable Kennedy, please. So it is completely different. When we were sitting, passing the budget, we did it differently. It's not the way we are doing it now. So, can Council Chair and please hold an informal meeting here and agree, because also the advice I'm getting differs from what I have in my note, and I'm not going to continue looking around for advice like this. So I'm going to give a few minutes for you, Council Chair.
I think the chair.
I mean committee chair, not the Council Chair, sorry. Committee chair agree with us here how we need to proceed, because we are debating, we are spending more time debating than we would have needed to have this done. Eh? So how do we proceed? Honorable Rose, may I request that you give me a proposal of how we need to proceed now? Honorable Musamadi. Honorable Musamadi, and I know you have been in Parliament for a long time before.
Mr. Chairman.
I will come to you, Dr. McCallum.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. I want to refer you to Rule 77. 1. Rule 77.1 says, there shall be a committee of the whole House designated as the Committee of Supply, to which shall be referred the annual estimates, any supplementary estimates, and any vote on account.
It's loading.
So even if we are handling the vote on account for the first time, it is not going to deviate from the normal rules of handling when the House is now sitting as a Committee of Supply. Then go to Rule 78, Sub-Rule C, 3. 78 says, 78C says, this is now specifically on vote on account. So it says, consideration of this resolution may not exceed 1 day. That's obvious. We are going to finish that. 2, it says, if it appears that a vote on account is unlikely to be fully considered by the end of 1 day, the chairperson shall at any time he or she considers necessary to conclude the business relating to the vote on account, put the question necessary to dispose of the question. This is not where we are. Now, the real elephant in the house is number 3. Upon the completion of the consideration of the vote on account, the chairperson shall put the question that the amount proposed be provided for the vote on account. Now, the amount which is proposed here is the amount which is considered by the committee. Yeah. The chair council tabled his estimates, and the committee considered. Now, we are now considering the report of the committee. Yeah. So, you are going to read, Honorable Speaker, the votes as provided, as proposed by the committee. And then we vote on them one by one. Just like Honorable Rose Akol put it, if council feels that because these figures are different from, some of them have remained as they are, others have changed. If council feels that those figures provided are far less than what would sustain a particular vote, then they will come with an amendment.
Honorable Musamali, I think this has been very helpful, and I agree with you.
Thank you.
So let us proceed like that. There is a committee report which council has on record accepted, and he still has more room to come in and contest it if he wishes. So let us proceed like that.
Procedure, Honorable Chair.
Who is that?
Honorable Jean-Claude.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I've heard to what Honorable Musamali has said. He tried to use or to explain by using rule number 77 and rule 78. But I have a feeling that rule 78 does not apply at this stage, because rule 78, it talks about consideration of resolutions in committee of supply. And we have not yet reached to that stage of resolutions of committee of supply. So I still have, I'm still convinced that the way we are proceeding is right. We need, when you read the rule 77 1 and rule 77 2, let me read rule 77 2.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, please, now I am ruling this.
Honorable Speaker.
Let me rule, and anyone who will speak after I have ruled will really be draining.
Absolutely, yes.
So we are going to proceed in the way Honorable Musamali has advised. And because you are all referring to the rules, I think there is a provision here that tells you I have a final interpretation. So that is my final interpretation. So any intervention from now will be out of order. Thank you. I put the question that a total sum of USD 9,095,178.88 under vote 001 be provided for the expenses of the East African Community Secretariat as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the EAC Secretariat for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Thank you. Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor, have it. I put the question that a total sum of 574,000 I put a question that a total sum of United States dollars 574,063 under vote 00.
Skip number 2, Honorable Chair.
Right, Honorable Chair, it is 5 million.
5 million.
002.
Did I skip 002? Yeah.
5 million.
Where is it? Why is it here?
002.
Page 8.
Yes, I think I was, what?
It's page 8. 002 is African Legislative Assembly.
Okay, honorable
5
members,
million.
where the confusion came from is that the way they were arranged here in the proposal is not the way they are arranged in the votes. So that is where it is causing a confusion. But so I will go to number
8. Page 002.
to number 2 first. I put a question that a total sum of 5,295,063 62 US dollars under vote 002 be provided for the expenses of the as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the East African Legislative Assembly EALA for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it. I now put the question that the total sum of United States dollars 574,063 under vote 003 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses for the East African Court of Justice, EACJ, for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it. I now put the question that a total sum of 941,717 US dollars under vote 004 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses for the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, LVBC, for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those in favor have it. I now put the question that a total sum of 512,037 dollars. I now put the question that a total sum of US dollars 512,037 under vote 005 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses for the East African Science and Technology Commission, EASTCO, for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Those against,
Aye.
Raise your hands. Those in favor have it. I now put the question that a total sum of US dollars 305,482 under vote 006 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter of the expenses of the East African Kiswahili Commission for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye. Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Aye. Those in favor have it. I now put the question that a total sum of US dollars 362,333 under vote 007 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter for the expenses of the East African Health Research Commission for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it.
Hey, what's up?
I now put the question that a total sum of US dollars 352,576 and about 008 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses for the East African Competition Authority for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it.
Let me just call you because I
May
can
I
barely
request
hear
you
you over this
to mute your
thing.
microphone, the honorable members? Just mute your microphones, please. Thank you. Okay. I now put the question that a total sum of US dollars 1,897,257 and about 009 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the Inter-University Council of East Africa for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it. I now put the question that a total sum of 305,482 United States dollars and about 010 be provided as a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it. Honorable members, now we have given the vote on account its legal framework as per the rules, and I will now proceed to put the question for the resolution of the Committee of Supply. And the question, I put the question that a total sum of United States dollars 19,697,574.88 be provided by the Committee of Supply as a vote on account for the East African community to cater for the expenses of the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
against, raise your hands. Those in favor, have it.
Motion for the House to resume.
Chair, Council of Ministers. Honorable Fatuma, you are speaking in a language we don't understand, and your microphone is on. Honorable Council Chair.
Speaker, sir, I beg now to move that the report on the committee of the whole House be adopted.
Honorable Council, I hope someone is there to assist you. I think the motion you need to move now is for the House to resume. Honorable members who are there, can help?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg that the House do resume and the committee of the whole House report thereto.
Thank you, Honorable Council Chair. Honorable members, I now put the question that the House do resume and the Committee of Supply reports thereto. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor, have it. May we now raise for the mess to be raised and for the House to resume. Thank you, honorable members.
Report from the Committee of Supply.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has considered the vote on account totaling to 19,697,574.88 to cater for the expenses of the EAC for the first quarter of the year 2020-2021.
Motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee of Supply.
Chair, Council of Ministers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the report of the Committee of the whole House be adopted.
Seconders. Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, Honorable Secretary General, and all members seconding. I now put the question, honorable members, that the report of the Committee of Supply be adopted. Those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it. Thank you, honorable members. You see, this procedure, I never get used to it. But I thank you very much, honorable members of the House who are senior and who keep helping. Honorable Rosie, Honorable Musamali, Honorable Kennedy Mukulia. I really like the challenge because it is helping me to improve. And thank you, Honorable Council Chair. I am sure you find this procedure very strange to you, but you have done very well. Yeah. Thank you very much, the committee. Thank you very much, members. I didn't need to comment when we started, but we all understand the conditions we have been working in, and we have been very resilient in the understanding, and I really wanted to commend you for that. And want to thank the entire team here, the executives who are working with me, to make sure that the issues we have in our way are resolved as soon as possible. And we hope, because we are working together, that we shall get them resolved as soon as possible. I want to assure you, honorable members, that everyone is mobilized. The council, the secretariat, and myself, we are reading from the same script. So we can just remain together and correct mistakes where we have done wrong, and be forgiving where we have been wronged, so that we continue together as one team and continue to deliver what people of East Africa expect of us. So I thank you very much for this accomplishment. Council Chair, a committee chair, this is your maiden undertaking. I've been talking to you a lot, and and I appreciate your leadership and commitment, and all those who worked with you, even when you were not able to chair the committee. Thank you. I wish you a nice evening.
Thank you.
House is adjourned sine die.
Thank you.